Today, research indicates a significant potential of AI technologies in developing communicative competences with different categories of language learners, such as university students, secondary and primary school students. Studies demonstrate the effectiveness of AI technologies in enhancing such skills as listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Still, little do we know if and how AI technologies could be introduced for EFL learners on the preschool level. Are preschoolers too young to get acquainted with AI? Research says that the answer is no. Recent studies have shown that early childhood is a fruitful period for acquiring knowledge about AI. Plus, when taught with the help of AI, students, young learners in particular, demonstrate improvements in fine motor skills, social and emotional competences, mathematical skills, and creativity. However, the use of AI technologies for developing English language skills of preschoolers is largely an underexplored area. Today, we will focus on generative technologies. They are a subtype of artificial intelligence technologies, and these are the technologies that we can use to produce text, images, videos, and other forms of data. Our aim is to partly close the research gap by exploring potentials of these technologies used with preschool EFL learners. Therefore, for a period of 2 years, we've been conducting a mixed method study which examines affordances and pitfalls of AI-driven services and platforms and discusses fundamental principles that early childhood educators should consider when integrating AI-driven technology into language development programs of very young learners. The research was carried out in the Republic of Tatarstan. It's a bilingual republic with 2 official languages, Russian and Tatar, and English is mostly taught as a foreign language in this republic. The study was conducted at 3 sites located both in the capital city and in little towns. The study involved over 50 children aged from 4 to 7. We had 4 intervention groups, 3 teachers, EFL teachers, and we developed 4 scenarios, AI-enhanced scenarios to introduce. Lessons were recorded. We held interviews with the teachers, collected their self-reflection journals, and the results of pre- and post-tests on vocabulary acquisition. And now you will see a list of generative AI services and platforms that were chosen to be put under trial. It's Fusion Brain, an image generator, Suno and Song Generator IO. These are song generating platforms. Kidgeny, a child-oriented generator that can create books. Alice, which is a Russian voice assistant. Avatar SDK, it's a platform that can generate 3D characters. And SpeechGen.io for voicing characters. Let's talk about the affordances and pitfalls of each of the technology used. We are going to start with Fusion Brain, which is an image generator. Well, you can see the page with an image generated by Fusion Brain. There is a text box right below the image. You have to type in the prompt. However, very young learners are mostly pre-literate, and therefore it is the teacher who has to type in the prompt. How can we elicit vocabulary from very young learners? Usually teachers ask them to give a prompt orally. For example, draw a blue dolphin, please. And children come up to the laptop or a computer and voice this prompt while the teacher types it in. Then when the image is ready, we can discuss the picture created. If there are any inaccuracies, we can discuss them as well. Well, when the children saw either a still or an animated image generated, they showed genuine excitement, pleasure, and engagement. The educators gave mostly favorable reviews as well because Fusion Brain provides users with open-ended opportunities adapting to any topic. Well, if your topic is aquatic animals, it can draw dolphins, turtles, and whales. If your topic is fruit, it can draw bananas, pineapples, and so on and so forth. However, originally, Fusion Brain is not educational. It's not an educational tool. Unlike mobile apps and educational platforms, the tool is silent and the teacher has to orchestrate the lesson by questioning, modeling, and eliciting students' prompts. And nothing is perfect, therefore we can encounter some pitfalls. Images may distort reality. Images created by Fusion Brain may distort reality. The tool may misinterpret the prompts or produce an exaggerated, scary image, especially if there are such emotionally colored words in the prompt box as scared or shocked. Also, you can see an image of a creature, which is half a jellyfish and half an octopus. The prompt given was green octopuses swimming in the sea near pink jellyfish, and we can see that the tool misunderstood this prompt. Another image shows a creature with no head, but just a tail. The prompt given was a tail of a fish. Then, if you encounter these incorrect images, you can use them as an educator as a springboard for language teaching and learning and developing AI literacy simultaneously. For example, if you ask to draw 4 frogs by the pond and the image shows 4 frogs in the pond, you as an educator can ask children, is the image correct? How many frogs are there? Are they in the pond? Are they by the pond? And so on and so forth. Generations, unfortunately, might be time consuming. And last but not least, the tool requires pre-testing, and the educator has to learn to give prompts himself or herself first. Another image generating tool is Avatar SDK. It creates 3D characters. The tool was employed in order to help photorealistic avatars, a boy and a girl, to get dressed for school. The teacher encouraged students to give oral commands to the avatars. The teacher asked the students to approach the screen and to say out loud, "Put on your t-shirt, put on your brown trainers," and so on and so forth. And thus she encouraged the students to speak and produce English. In the study, the tool was employed to learn and recycle clothing vocabulary. However, it can be easily used to learn names of body because you can customize avatars, body type, hairstyle, face traits. You can use it to learn action verbs because you can make this avatar move, walk, jump, run, dance, and so on. Nonetheless, the teacher said that those who decide to use Avatar SDK with very young learners have to be alert, as images, again, may distort reality. For example, you can see an image, it's a right-hand image of a 10 to 12-year-old child. It's not a child, of course, it's just a mini version of an adult. And if the avatar's height changes, it doesn't turn it into a child. Also, Avatar SDK, as other generators, is aimed neither at language development nor at preschoolers, and as a result, educators can face some age-inappropriate content. Clothing items might look too tight or too skimpy. Some movements may appear provocative. Finally, timing may cause inconveniences, as it usually takes a few minutes before a chosen avatar appears on the screen. Another type of generators are music generators such as Suno and Song Generator IO. They were employed at all of the sites on the first day of the intervention to introduce new vocabulary and patterns. Initially, the students listened to the pre-generated songs and performed movements after the teachers. Then they began to sing along, single out vocabulary and patterns by ear, and perform movements individually without visual support. At one side, children, together with the educator, with the teacher, created a song in class by means of Suno. All of the teachers reported that the students thoroughly enjoyed the songs generated. By the end of the intervention period, they learned the lyrics by heart. The teachers themselves had a very positive experience with the song generators. When preparing for the lessons, they were free to choose lyrics, tempo, and style of a future song, which illustrated considerable flexibility of the technology. Still, the teacher's responses to the interview questions reveal that it takes time to understand the craft of prompt making. When creating a song for EFL purposes, an educator should opt for a custom mode. This feature allows for more granular control over the songwriting process. Educators can build the lyrics on the principle of syntactic parallelism, and you can see an example on the slide. The eggplant is purple, the onion is orange, the corn is green, the pear is green. The educator can use lexical repetitions, add intros and outros, as well as instrumental bridges to see students' comprehension of the text. And at the same time, song generators are not catered specifically for young learners, and therefore the teacher should control the tempo and tune of a generated music to avoid fast and complicated songs. Another generator is Kajani. It's a generator of illustrated books and audio-enhanced stories for kids. Kajani is a child-oriented service, unlike others, and it was used to learn and recycle transport-related vocabulary in context. In order to stimulate the production of vocabulary and patterns in oral speech, the teacher encouraged the students to make up a story about Kajani, the robot. She asked such questions as, what is the color of the robot? What can he do? Can he ride a bike? What color is his bike? The students gave responses, and simultaneously the teacher typed them into the text box. The study demonstrated that AI-enhanced book generators, in contrast to printed or electronic children's books, provide limitless possibilities to EFL teachers of very young learners, since they can be tailored to any topic: transport, food, toys, and so on and so forth. The students were constantly given power to choose the characteristics of the final product they were designing. They could choose the color of the robot, its size, its place of living, names of his friends. However, the data also demonstrated some notable pitfalls. Kidgeni is designed for native speakers of English. Therefore, even when the age of the target audience is set under 3, the generated book turns out to be too difficult for 4 to 7-year-old children studying English as a foreign language. Therefore, the teacher had to react immediately and adapt the generated version of the text. You can see the original version of the text on the screen. We have such words as bustling, cheerful, and the teacher had to react. He could replace, omit, or add words. Another weakness discovered in the study was Kijani's visual unpredictability. There were instances when AI offered images of children with extra or vice versa missing body parts. In addition, Kijani sometimes would not generate a page or two of the final book, no matter how long the teacher waited. The next tool used was Alice, or Alisa in Russian. It's a voice assistant. The teacher used this voice assistant to co-introduce new vocabulary. The students were encouraged to ask Alice to translate unknown words from Russian into English. Almost every student raised a hand to show they wished to ask Alice for translation. When asking a question, they tried to pronounce words clearly, loudly, and when Alice was answering, everyone listened attentively. Upon hearing an English translation of a word, the students sometimes repeated the word in chorus, even though the teacher didn't ask them to. Interestingly, Alice turned out to be more authoritative than the educator. In the interview, the teacher said that the children remembered the words better if they had been introduced by Alice, not the teacher herself. As for pitfalls, Alice could be unpredictable. The teacher warned that Alice may sometimes translate the words not the way she anticipated. For example, instead of a t-shirt, she gave an English counterpart a jersey. Another drawback is that some of the words that Alice pronounces are not pronounced clearly. For example, the children could not catch the word tights, and therefore the teacher had to intervene and name the word more clearly. Alternatively, a child may mispronounce the word for translation due to articulation deficiencies, and then it is the virtual assistant who does not understand the prompt. Well, in both cases, the teacher should mediate the interaction between children and the technology. And the final tool that we are going to talk about today is SpeechGen.io. It was used to voice characters. It was utilized by the teacher to voice 3D avatars. The tool voiced them speaking about their outfit. Avatars use such patterns as I'm wearing this and that, and the students were asked to listen to the avatars and point at the item of clothing that they were mentioning in their speech. The children were actively engaged. However, the teacher discovered that the speed of the recording was at times too fast for a young EFL learner. She concluded that next time it would be better to customize the speed of speech to ensure the students keep up with the recording. Overall, the 5 types of tested generative AI technologies were found to be useful for generating the content, to introduce and practice key vocabulary and patterns, developing listening and speaking skills, engaging students in collaborative creative activities, and generally motivating children for active interaction with the language content. The contribution of AI technologies was evident not only through watching video recordings of the classrooms and teacher interviews, but through the results of the pre and post tests. The graph shows the growth of vocabulary in all the groups that participated in the study. At the same time, the interventions revealed that teachers should be ready to address challenges associated with the usage of generative artificial intelligence. They should be trained. Therefore, we would like to propose fundamental principles that must be considered when introducing AI content generators into very young EFL classrooms. First of all, educators should remember that the primary knowledge mediator is the teacher, while AI-powered technologies are only secondary knowledge mediators. It is the teacher who selects the tool, evaluates it, guides users through the platforms, offers assistance in writing and rewriting prompts, playing and replaying newly generated songs, effectively manages time, thereby enhancing students' interaction with the technology. It is also the teacher who counteracts the potential negative impact of generative AI technologies. Next, the selection of AI technologies and the scenarios for their integration should take into account all developmental needs of very young learners, their cognitive, social and emotional, physical and moral development. Finally, the curriculum for AI technology integration should provide for both the development of language skills and competences in AI and competences in AI technologies. So if your smart friend, and by the way, that's the way the educators called AI tools, smart friends. So if your smart friend makes a mistake, an educator, there is no need for the educator to be confused or embarrassed. They can discuss the mistake made in English with their very young learners. Well, that is all. Thank you for your attention, and you are welcome to ask questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Albina. Does anyone have any questions for Albina? I have a question, Albina. Why did you decide to look at this particularly for young learners?
Well, because young learners are very tech savvy. They are representatives of the generation Alpha. They were born after 2014, and they are familiar with the wide array of technologies present, more familiar even than us, adults and educators, and they can teach us to use this or that tool sometimes. They are highly motivated when technologies are introduced into the classroom, and they become active participants in the process of learning and teaching and co-teaching.
Another question about some of the apps that you've mentioned, some of the applications, I guess is the correct terminology. Are they all paid apps or any of them free?
Some of them are free. For example, Fusion, some of them are free and some give some free trial period. Or they give credits. For example, in KidGeni, credits are given. And if you spend all the credits, then you have to pay for your next prompt creation or book creation. The same goes with Suno and Fusion Brain. Sometimes you have a limited number of prompts per day.
So do your school budgets in Kazan, do they offer teachers this? Do they pay for this kind of applications for teachers
Usually
to do?
they do not pay for these kind of applications. It is the educator's initiative.
I'm just asking because it seems to me like there's a lot of wonderful tools out there, but if school systems, and I'm talking very generically, very wide here, if they don't, if they don't supply teachers with access to these, it's a lot to expect teachers to pay for these kinds of things out of their own pocket.
Yes, you're right.
I'm becoming more aware of. Anyone else have any other questions or comments? We have about 5 more minutes. Fayez, is your hand up?
Yes, thank you so much. So my question to Albina is that, like you talked about the need for teachers to be trained. So what kind of training do you think that would be suitable to teach at this stage of learners?
Some master classes can be organized as well as tutorials. Actually, we conducted a survey. We asked very young learners, teachers, to answer some questions about their AI competence. And some believe that they do not use artificial intelligence technologies at all, even in their everyday life. And still, they had some positive ideas about the usage of AI in class with their learners, and they said that they would, with pleasure, participate in some training programs designed for them. And soon we will open a course for master programs who study the art of teaching languages to very young learners, and they will learn about these basics of introducing AI into a very young learner classroom.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.